Well, there are so many problems with this approach to fixing the problem of Common Core. The problem of Common Core is broad and wide. And looking at each individual standard, yes, there are certain things that could be tweaked, changed, improved, and still keep the standards in place. But when you do that, then you've got a system that's been established. Common Core state standards are just part of a system. And the standards do not exist without the testing. And when you look at the testing, every state has high accountability now because of No Child Left Behind. And, accountability is a good word. Standards is a good word. Rigor is a good word. But we have to know what that really means. And now accountability has come to mean in every state compliance with No Child Left Behind with a lot of testing of students, and not only, in fact, very little of it is actually academic testing, but it goes into the area of what is called in education terminology the affective domain, which is the attitudes, values, and beliefs of students. This is something that is not new. It's been tested and done under the cover of, a good name on a program, and people didn't realize what they were getting because, normally we don't see what is in the test because we've got test security and the validity of the test. If it's, handed out to people, of course, that can cause the unfair advantage of knowing what's on the test, and, we all understand that. But in that process, often we've had things being tested that we don't even know are being tested. And this has been proven by a number of people in research over the years, back in the 60s even, and in the 80s there was a lot of information that came out publicly through some people in Pennsylvania that we've talked about before, but this was a recorded case. In fact, a federal lawsuit was brought against the government and won by a parent who sued over the testing. The testing was part of it, and one of the main focuses was to find out how the student determined whether they would go along with a group or not, if they would conform or not, what is called the locus of control. These are really psychological testing. They are behavioral, psychological areas. And this gets into a lot of things, but when you look at the system of Common Core state standards and you just isolate each standard, and the process to make Common Core better is to fix some of the standards, that means the plan here that Superintendent Bice has is to keep the standards, but wear out the public in a process where they really think they're going to fix something, and even if they do fix certain things, they've still got the process. They've still got the system. So that's a trick. That is a strategy that we have seen in Oklahoma in the 90s when outcomes-based education was on the table, and we did get that repealed out of our state law then in 1995 after a battle in 94. But what happened then, our state superintendent of schools, who was elected, set up a series, I think it was 5 regional meetings. And this was after a great deal of public outcry and opposition against what we call then the learner outcomes had been heard. So her idea was to quell that concern by having this very same process you've described there that Superintendent Bice is inviting people to. And what they did in Oklahoma was set up a mic, and you could go down for 1 minute, say what you think, sit down. Now, they may give you more time. They may do it more casually. I don't know. But the point is, it's an airing of concerns. And if they fix a few things, some people will be satisfied and say, well, they worked with us. But you've got to step back and look at the whole system, the testing, the standards, and the philosophy of the people who have written this, because when those pieces come together, they make a whole machine that the pieces individually don't really indicate. You know, when you look at the bumper on a car, you might not know that's going to become a whole car. You've just got a piece here. So that doesn't look like maybe a problem, but when it's all put together, it's a huge system, a machine.